Hello everyone and welcome to this short guide on how you can research about the program that you're going to apply for, especially when you're applying for Australia Award Scholarship. There's going to be a couple of things you may need to research about your particular course. Now, choosing courses can be as easy as you want or as complicated as you want, depending on how you want to go about it. The most complicated ways is to research as deeply and also to ask a lot of questions. And, the simplest way is to pick and choose whatever degree that sounds pretty cool to you. Now, of course, when you're applying for a scholarship, there is always going to be a caveat, which means that you have to have a really good reasons and elaborations on as to why you choose the particular program, and so it is best for you to do at least some degree of research. Now I'm going to show you one example that I did when I tried to apply for my master's back then, and the process of validating the program that I'm going to apply for. Now, I have recently graduated from Master of Counselling and Psychotherapy from the University of Adelaide. Now they are rebranding their university into Adelaide University, so I'm going to use this page to simulate what it is like for me when I was doing my research about the program. Now, if you've watched my series before on how to write a personal statement with its tips, you'll notice that I keep mentioning about going to the official website. And so this is the official website of Adelaide University. Whenever you go to Google, try to find the most official website. Okay, I would not recommend third-party websites unless you're trying to compare or summarize what is it inside. But if you want to study the course in a great detail, this is how I would approach it. So first, check if the URL is official, right? So in this case, it's official, and usually the naming convention for the URL is quite straightforward. In this case, is Master of Counselling and Psychotherapy. So generally speaking, they won't have any numbers or anything like that, just for the SEO or search engine optimization purpose. So it makes it quite easy when you are searching on Google. Now, after landing into the official page, what you want to do is to check first if your program is eligible for international students. Now, different university will have different systems on their websites. In the case of the University of Adelaide, it's so nice that they have provided this drop-down menu. Now, what's different is that if you're applying as an international student, usually there is going to be these prerequisites that you have to follow. For example, the English requirements and the CRICOS code. Now, these two informations will be displayed as a post if you are clicking Australian students, right? So these details are important. Now, you will keep seeing this number everywhere as you do your research. There is something we call CRICOS code. And so in CRICOS code, you can actually validate whether the program is available for international students at the time. So this will be updated every semester. So you may need to check whether your program is available for international student by copying the code, going into the CRICOS search, and go to the CRICOS code search here. As you press start search, it will bring you into the details of the page. And if it's active, it's going to be there. You can access the course location, institution details, and contact details. What I would recommend, however, is for you to keep the detail of the contact details in case you have any questions. You can show the full data by clicking print course detail, and it will show you every single thing on the page. This makes it easier for viewing. That's it. Okay, so once you know that your program have the CRICOS code and it shows the equivalent English qualification, especially if you're applying for Australia Award Scholarship or Colombo Plan, then you're free to sort of scour the website as detailed as you can, right? But the first thing that I would recommend is to check the requirements or admission criteria. Now, in criteria of admissions, every university and each program will be different. There is this Casper test, for example, in the University of Adelaide, which perhaps Master of Counseling and Psychotherapy from different institutions may not require, right? These kinds of things are the things that you need to read first. Now, if you are going to apply as an Australia Awards candidate, usually there's going to be IELTS as required, and each program will have different IELTS requirements. For example, if you're applying for psychology and psychotherapy, those sort of knowledge will require you to have IELTS for at least 7. And the reason is just because if you're doing counseling, psychotherapy, you need to read quite a lot. You need to listen quite a lot of clients. You need to speak to clients directly, and you need to write some sort of report. So, this may be and can be higher than different programs. I know that some programs requires only 6 or 6.5. So just follow through with this as best as you can. Okay. As you go down and search the websites, usually there's going to be tabs like this, right? What I would like for you to focus on first is the entry requirements, and then follow up by reading the overview. Now, this overview, I want you to find the most important key sentences. For example, here, something that strike my eyes for the first time is the competence in trauma recovery. It's very and highly specialized field of study, specifically for survivors of abuse and interpersonal violence. This is not on every program that you will get something like this. On top of that, on key features, it says that these things that I'm going to be learning is a hands-on experience and is supervised. So there are lots of programs where you just study in classes, and that's fine if you're doing theoretical approach. But when you're dealing with clients, things like this can be quite appealing. When you read the overview, there's going to be some key sentences, and I want you to keep highlighting those. One of them that struck me the most as well is to work safely with clients from diverse backgrounds. So it signals to me that there is going to be some cultural competence after you learn this particular program, contextually useful for your work. If you keep scrolling down, there will be more details, and you need to be highlighting those details that you find to be useful. In this case, I can spend up to 2 days each week in placement or internship, and this will enable me to counsel real clients. So if you have no experience in counseling real clients and you want that, this is something that you may need to look for if you're a counselor. So if you're going for different programs, then this interest points or the selling points are the ones that you want to look out for, something that's more specific, right? As opposed to something that's quite vague. So for example, clinically proficient counselor, right? What does it mean, right? But if you can see things that are quite congruent and tangible, for example, 2 days each week in placement, things like that are the one that you may need to highlight. As you go through the website, you will find the courses, and you can click all the courses as much as you want, as complicated as it might be. But the more time you spend getting to know the program, the more that you know what you can gain from the program. Even though you haven't done it, at least to some degree, you'll have some preparation on what sort of things you want to take. That includes the courses, the specialization that you want, or the electives that you want to take. So if you've never had any educations in Western society, generally in certain campuses, there's going to be core courses and electives. So core courses are the courses that you have to take no matter what. You cannot skip these core courses. Despite whatever specialization you may take, you will have to go through these courses. Electives, on the other hand, are the things that you can freely choose. So if you have a particular choice or something that interests you in this field, then you can choose that as your elective. Now, of course, there's rules and there is a standard study plan. If you have this in the website of the university, please do look out for them. Study plans allows us to align, especially if we've never studied abroad, especially in a new country. Study plan will give you a baseline on what it looks like if you're going to go through the program, right? You may also want to take a look into career outcomes. If you haven't had any career already before applying for the scholarship, this also will help you align on what sort of ideal job or ideal position that you want to take once you completed your degree. And accreditation is quite important in certain cases. in Australia, in Indonesia, and Singapore, certain psychotherapists are in need to be accredited. So accreditation just means that it is verified and the program is up to a standard that is national. And as you go through, there's going to be more details. Another thing is that I would like you to focus on is if there is any information such as guide for international applicants, please do read that because that is so relevant if you're applying for an overseas scholarship. And that will be it. That's how I usually do my research and gather the informations that I need before writing my personal statement.